Because yesterday it showed that for the average person right now to be able to afford one whole Bitcoin in Canada, 25 years. And so for most people who don't have any savings, like they'll never get to one Bitcoin, like not even a chance. And that's assuming the Bitcoin price stays where it is today, which again, isn't going to happen. So if you're somebody out there who has like no savings right now, the reality is you're never going to get to one Bitcoin, and that's okay. I don't think that should be everybody's end goal here to get to one Bitcoin. I mean, it's a great goal to have, but don't be like discouraged if you never get to one Bitcoin. There's only going to be a very, 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 very small amount of people on earth who ever have one whole Bitcoin. That's the reality of it. But that doesn't mean that you should stop trying to get it. And so if you think about something like this is the idea that I introduced here when I was writing, which is a wheel of sats. And I think that if you just like look out 4 years and you set a 4-year time frame on yourself and you say, I'm just going to get as much sats as I possibly can. And so if you think about like a wheel of sats, and this is actually from Bitcoin Ben, he had this idea for income, but I want to apply it to sats. And so if you are somebody who's like trying to get as much as you possibly can right now, which is probably why you're watching the show, think about a wheel of sats, and each one of the spokes on that wheel is a different stream of sats coming in consistently. And so if you think about things like, I think I had 7 or 8 of them, and I wish I had my notebook here, but I think I can remember most of them. So there's like, let's start with like 7 different ways, 7 different spokes that you can have on your wheel of sats that just keep generating sats every day, every month, every year, and give yourself 4 years. But you have smash buys. So anytime you have like an excess of cash, maybe you get paid and, or you get a bonus for the year, maybe you get an income tax return. Maybe you get an income tax return, you smash buy. So that's one way, that's one spoke on your wheel. The other one would be DCA. So you set up a small amount every week, do, whatever you're comfortable doing, $15, $20, $25. That's just going to keep coming in. You're hardly going to notice it's coming out of your bank account. I hope anyways, if that's a problem, then obviously don't do this, but you just have constant sats coming in without even thinking about it. So that's 2. Number 3 would be, like around, I call it a Bitcoin tax. In Canada here, we have GST, which is 5%. We have PST here in Manitoba, that's provincial sales tax, which is 7%. We have carbon taxes, which is another X%. Add a Bitcoin tax to your every purchase you make. And there's a couple ways to do that in North America for sure. You can use an app like ShakePay, which has a roundup feature every time you buy something using the ShakePay Visa. Not only do you get sats back, but you also can turn up a roundup feature, which you can buy $2, $3, $5. So every time you make a purchase, it rounds up $5, and with the difference there, it buys Bitcoin. So I call it the Bitcoin tax. You're taxing yourself, but you're buying Bitcoin with it. So that's another spoke on your wheel, is your roundup feature, Bitcoin tax. And I think in the US, you can use an app called Fold and do the exact same thing, where you can round, I think anyways, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so that's number 3, is like a Bitcoin tax, roundup or Fold app. Every time you make a purchase, you buy Bitcoin. That's your tax on it. The 4th would be things like, the Fountain app, Wavelake, ZBD, Smiles app. All of these are different spokes on your wheel. And your objective here is to add as many spokes as possible to your wheel. So you're not just like relying on one single thing, because if that stops, you're toast, right? So you just keep adding different spokes. Maybe that's a new app. Maybe that's something else you do. Maybe you do a different recurring buy. All these are different spokes on your wheel of sats. And you get that thing moving. And the more spokes you add to it, the faster it goes. And you set like a time frame of like 4 years. And for best practice, you should, just for it, if you're interested, track it all. Each spoke number 1, smash buy. How many did I get in 2025? Spoke number 2, DCA. How many sats did I get in 2025? How many did I get in 2026, 27, 28? And if you had a spreadsheet and you did this for 4 years and you just keep adding spokes to your wheel of sats, I think you're going to be absolutely blown away with how many you end up with. So that's what I would say to that. I don't think it's advisable to leave your job right now. I think you should keep working it. And another spoke on your wheel would be like starting a business or creating a nostr account. Or taking something. Actually, I did a podcast for the first time yesterday in about a month, and you can find it. It's called Project Potential. You just go into Spotify or Fountain and type in Bitcoin Journey, and you should be able to see my episode that I posted yesterday. But I talked about an idea where, a very simple idea, where you could, I used honey as an example. There's a lot of apiaries around here. And so I used honey as an example where you go to this bee farmer, they sell honey. Around here, they don't sell any B2C, like business to consumer. They don't sell direct to consumer. They basically use like co-ops, Sobeys, I don't know, retail shops. They don't sell anything directly to the consumer. And so what my idea was to go to the apiary and say, I want to buy like 100 tubs of honey. You pay them in cash or dollars or whatever, and you get onto nostr and you start selling these things. Maybe you mark it up like 5, 10%. I wouldn't do much more than that because you're not going to sell any. But the idea there is you're basically like converting dollars into sats. And all those sats are going to be non-KYC. Everybody's always asking, how can I get non-KYC sats? Start selling things for sats. Start selling your knowledge, your experience, your skills, or products like honey. And it doesn't have to be honey. It could be anything. Something that's sold locally that you love, that other people love. Take that, sell it to the world, and sell it for Bitcoin. That's another spoke in your wheel of sats. It's things like that you just have to be doing. And the more sats you can add to that wheel, the better results you're going to have.